To expand on this, we're joined by the Deputy Director General for Agricultural Production, Biosecurity and Natural Resources Management at the National Department of Agriculture, Dipepeneneng Serage, who joins us. A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, South Africa's agricultural sector is already, as you and I speak, facing many challenges at the moment. There's climate change, trade wars. It cannot afford not to have enough vaccines. What is the plan?
Thank you very much for having us. The plan really is to ensure that we do things differently from what we've been doing to date. Whatever we've been doing doesn't seem to work, so we brought everybody together for these 2 days. Everybody who's involved in the livestock value chain and all farmers and all scientists and researchers and everybody else, to chart a new way forward, to look at ways that we can change. And we have, all of us are agreeing that we cannot afford to be throwing money at the problem of foot-and-mouth disease in the country. So we are looking into science, a new science that can help us to better be prepared and better be ready to handle foot-and-mouth disease. But at the same time, we know actually what is the problem. The problem is recklessness, illegal movement of animals from areas that are foot-and-mouth prone and to areas that are not. This is caused by recklessness of some speculators and some auction houses. Not all of them, but unfortunately it only takes one animal to infect the entire herd.
As you speak about recklessness, the issue around the principle of regionalization, what approach is the department taking? Because some experts in the space have spoken about how an outbreak in one part of the country should not result in a blanket trade restriction for the entire nation.
Yes, the next thing from here, I think within 2 weeks from this gathering, we'll be looking into better ways. And one of the ways that we're looking at is regionalization. There's different definitions for the regionalization, but for this discussion also to simplify. Think of a situation where every district in the country, livestock in that district are demarcated and are branded differently from the next districts, where livestock in that area, movement into or out of that area is controlled. And if an animal from that area moves to the other area, that movement will be known. That's basically what will be the crux of regionalization. This would then help us to determine if any district somewhere, let's say for instance in the Western Cape or Northern Cape, happens to have an outbreak of foot-and-mouth disease, the rest of the country will continue to trade, because that shouldn't, they would be knowing what happened, would then be able to even trace back. The track and tracing that Minister speaks of would allow us to know where the animal moved from, and we automatically, if it's positive, FMT positive, would then know that the likelihood of the other livestock at its original place would be positive. Then you quickly would be able to then cordon off and ensure that there isn't further spread.
The vaccine matter was a crucial area when the system broke down during the recent outbreak. What lessons do you think have been learned from that outbreak as you look to engaging stakeholders and ensuring that you do things better this time around?
Yes, vaccine is always a problem, but one of the problems is that we do not have capacity as the country to produce sufficient vaccines. So we rely on importation from a neighboring country, Botswana, and that's obviously it's one of the challenges. But we've begun the process in the country from the Agricultural Research Council. We are building the capacity to be able to produce vaccines. We used to be able to produce vaccines in the country right until I think 2006. Were able to produce vaccines and sufficient vaccines to cover the area. But with this investment and with the government having being this fiscal constraint, there was this investment in the OBP and in the ARC, Agricultural Research Council, and on support biological product, the entities of the department. So that led to then the problem of vaccine shortages.
Yeah.
Ordinarily,
As you speak about, pardon me, as you speak about the Onderstepoort biological products, this was once a state-of-the-art facility, wasn't it? Because if we look at what's happened, it's become another example of state failure, looking at what has happened to it, because that was where the central part of dealing with this matter and ensuring that there is sufficient vaccines was meant to be at the center of. What's going to happen in that space? How are you going to ensure that there is some improvement?
In fact, we would love to invite you to come to Onderstepoort Biological Products. It has turned the corner, actually. We've ordered a freeze dryer, one of the equipment used in the production of vaccines. And if we look at the timing end of this project, and about before the end of this year, we should be able to produce vaccines. It may not be foot-and-mouth disease vaccine because that's a different and complicated vaccine to produce. But all other vaccines, as you know, there's more than 30 vaccines that the Onderstepoort biological product produces. And of course, it used to be to really have challenges. But I would invite you to come because it has turned the corner. We've got everything set in motion. Like I just said, we've just ordered an equipment worth 25 million rand, and it has been the processes of having it delivered and assembled at OBP are underway. So we've turned the corner. The Agricultural Research Council as well, which is where we are hosting this in Daba. Also, this is where we're going to be producing specifically the foot-and-mouth disease vaccine, which once produced will then be taken to Onderstepoort, which is the commercial wing, and Onderstepoort will then be able to sell the vaccine or to provide the vaccine. Yeah. So at the moment, we've turned the corner. The OBP is shaping up, and we're optimistic that, in fact, it's all the vaccines that it has to have, the stock, the availability has quite improved drastically.
Very well. Thank you for speaking to us this evening. Deputy Director General for Agricultural Production, Biosecurity and National Resources Management at the Department of Agriculture, Dipepeneneng Serage. Thank you for your time.